theyeshiva.net.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for gracing us with your sacred presence this morning. We're aware that you had many options where you could have gone this morning, and you chose us, and we don't take it for granted.
Sounds like the airline, doesn't it?
Yes. But you had even more options than 10 airlines. Airlines is if you want to fly, but you know, what can you do on a bright Wednesday morning in New York and Rockland County? The opportunities are endless, right? So we don't take it for granted. Okay, so we're close to the bottom of 22, right? 22 on top it says Tzav. Middle of the Maimon Lahavin Mashakasav Bahagada. Line starts Olam Haba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 lines from the bottom, Olam Haba. Yud Aleph, column 4, if you wish. So he said the line before, V'kol zehu mebchinas moichin de'ima, bina, Olam Haba, Gan Eden Elyon, Gilui Taina Gan Hashamas, L'fi ha-saga. The summation of the discussion was that in many ways, the way we define simcha, the way the Balatanya defines simcha in this mimer is realignment, reunion. When who you are, who you truly are, becomes manifested in your life, and there is a union between your core and your outer self, there is that unison, that unity, that harmony, the synchronization, the alignment. That is what creates simcha. Or in the words of the Maimer, the Olul was once in the Ilah. The Olul was once part of the Ilah. It is who it really is. That is its core, its source. There was a separateness. There was a distance that was created, a gulf. And when the Olul returns and is reunited with its Ilah, meaning with its own true core, its own true self, that alignment is always the cause of a true sense of joy, a sense of simcha. If the Ilah and the Olul were essentially separate, it wouldn't create that simcha. But because really they're one, they're truly aligned, it's just distance has developed. So whenever we can overcome that distance, and whenever something returns back to where it came from, and can experience its own source, its own true essence, there is simcha, and the closer it becomes, the deeper alignment, the greater the joy. And that's the basic, the unity, that's the unity of the Ilah and the Olul, which, as he said, is the definition of Yom Tov, Moyadim l'simcha, when Malchus goes back up. And that's why everything in the world craves to return to its source, to itself. And as long as it doesn't, there is a void, there is an emptiness, there is something missing. What's missing? What's missing is me. My truth is missing. And as long as that's missing, there's nothing that can substitute for that. You could try to replace it with a lot of stuff, but there's nothing that's going to substitute the reunification, the alignment of the Olul with the Ilah, which is the source of simcha. That's the Ben Nahar Yavru Beregel Sham Nismacha Boy on Regel. Hafla de Ketaich on Regel is the Aliyah Yom Tov, is the Aliyah to Nahar, which we explained was Binah, as explained at length, which is like the Ilah, and that's called Moichin De'ima, when there is that appreciation or awareness or understanding of the Ilah. Lahanchil Oy Havai Yesh, and that's the source of simcha. In Kabbalah Isis, the Olul is Malchus, which descends, right? And it comes back to its source. In Atzilus is the Ilah. Okay. In a person is the Neshama, which descends, is the Olul. And it comes back to its source. In Alakus is the Ilah.
So realigning the Olul, in this case, means realigning the Neshama with its source?
With its source, yeah.
What you said about
Do you feel it spiritually?
1 second,
What does that mean? What connection the Neshama has with its seeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of Noah bin.
Yeah.
Nor of Binah, that's the Ilah of something else in the passage we just read about. Nor of Binah is the Ilah of something else that you, or nothing to do with.
That's also true. Yeah, that's also true.
It's always a Ilah of something.
Yeah.
Does the word Ilah and Alul, do they have literal translation? Is Ilah
Cause and effect.
and Alul is what's come down?
Cause and effect. Mother and child. Antecedent. Yeah.
How's the word Alul?
Alul is that which comes from the Ilah. It's born from the Ilah. It's a term in Jewish philosophical works from the Middle Ages.
It sort of means opposite of going up. It means,
Yeah.
when you have the word Kadesha, it could mean holy, but it could
Right. Yeah. No, but yeah, right. It's like the antecedent. The antecedent is the Ilah, the progenitor, the cause, the source, and the Alul is like that which emerges from it. It's used in the works of the Rambam and Jewish philosophy of the Middle Ages. The term is used very, very often. Ilah and Alul. Reb Sadia Gaon, the Rambam, and the other great Jewish philosophers. Ayin Yud Lamed Hey and Ayin Lamed Vav Lamed. Ileno. And when the Alul unites with the Ilah, the biggest, the deepest unity is the comprehension of it, the appreciation of it, which is the experience of it. And that always comes from the fact that the Alul can appreciate it, can internalize it, can understand it, can feel it, which is what simcha is. Simcha is that feeling of joy when the Alul can appreciate its full achdus, with itself, its full harmony with itself, its full alignment, in a way that it relates to its identity. Its identity becomes full and fulfilled, because it encounters its truth. It meets itself. It's like, this is my niggin, this is my melody, this is my voice, right? It's not anymore yoinasi b'chagvei hasela. I'm not the weasel hiding under the house, but I have emerged. Whenever I'm alienated from myself, I'm hiding from myself, and automatically I'm hiding from others. I'm hiding from myself because either I'm embarrassed with myself, or I don't know who I am, or I'm looking for who I am, or I'm trying to replace who I am with something else. But the point is, I'm in a state of hiding. And that expresses itself in so many different ways, physically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. A person not in hiding is Harenius, Marayich, Hashmeinius, Koilech. You have found your calling, your niggin, your source, your nest. As the bird flies back to its nest, searching and searching. Ka'ayel Taroig, there's the famous Pasuk in Tehillim, the Balatanya made a niggin on it, right? Ka'ayel Taroig, Alafike Mayim Ke Nafshi Saroig. You know what Taroig means? Ka'ayel Taroig. Huh? It yearns, it pines, like a ram. David HaMelech's poetry, like an ayel, like a gazelle or a ram. Taroig. It yearns and kvels and pines. Right? Alafike Mayim, on the streams of water. It's been thirsty for days, and it finds the Afike Mayim, the canals, the water canals. And the joy, the taroig, the irugin, the sense of kisufim, of yearning and pining, is so powerful. Kei nafshi saroig, every soul experiences that. Elecha elikim, tzama nafshi lelekim lekel choy, masai avoy ve'ira. That's all, in one word, the alul yearning to come back to the Ilah. And in the entire existence, this is the pattern. The alul searches to reunite with the Ilah. When I can identify that search and work towards that place, that's a life of productivity. That's a life of advancement. That's a life that's bringing me closer and closer to who I am. When I distract myself from that yearning, or I try to compensate it with different things that will superficially and artificially and falsely fill the void through counterfeit alternatives. That's a good word. Counterfeit, right? Counterfeit money. It looks like money, but it's not the money. And you know the truth. You know the truth. So then the Olul just gets more frustrated and distant from the Ilah, which widens the gap, which widens the void, which deepens the struggle and the crisis, and all simcha is that achdus between the two.
It's an expression in the Gemara. Simcha is when you...
Ein simcha ka'ataris hasveikus, right. Ein simcha ka'ataris hasveikus, right. That's the same idea. Same idea. That's intellectually, right. When you resolve the doubt, including the doubt of who you are,
Does the opportunity occur by itself on Yom Tov, even if one doesn't acknowledge it or recognize it?
Well, I think it's completely on a different level, like in everything. Mitzvahs b'loy kavana, keguf b'loy neshama. So there's a certain energy on Yom Tov, but I think the more awareness, the more avodah, is always much more internalization.
Rabbi Jacobson said over Purim that the idea of each Yom Tov is emphasized on the Yom Tov and brought out strong on the Yom Tov, but we're supposed to have it all year long.
Right,
So
always.
The simcha we should have on Yom Tov.
Of course.
On Yom Tov, but all year long.
Of course. The function of a Yom Tov is simply to highlight a particular characteristic of the Jew life, but the point is to take it all year with you.
We go into Pesach with more simcha and more Yeshua Das.
Yes.
And the whole thing will be better.
Yes. As per your request, per the request of some of you, I spoke to the women yesterday about what I spoke to the men, and I think it was well accepted. I did it a little bit in a different way, of course, but with the proper, approach.
The question I was asking was, for example, a chiropractor. You go to a chiropractor and you get an adjustment.
Yeah, he's sitting on your right.
Yeah, I know. So when I go to a chiropractor, I'm out of adjustment. When I go into Yom,
Very nice.
I'm just wondering, does it align me, or do I have to mindfully?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. You're saying we all need the chiropractors to align the bones and the muscles, huh? To create that symmetry, in the body.
That symmetry occurs when Yom Tov begins.
Right.
So I have to mindfully think I'm getting an adjustment.
I think it occurs, but when there's a mindful attachment, it's a much deeper experience. Not just on an unconscious level, but also on a conscious level. Yeah. We're all basically looking for a good chiropractor. That's the bottom line. You couldn't ask for a better commercial, Rabbi, this morning. It's been a good day for you already. You can string and schlafen.
It's good. It's still that nobody has any idea what chiropractic is. Still nobody has any idea what chiropractic is.
Huh?
The concept of alignment, though, is what we're speaking about.
Yeah, alignment. Yeah. And we see children know this instinctively, right? You put children in front of a disintegrated puzzle and they want the puzzle to work. Pieces of Lego and they're bringing the pieces of Lego together. You give them a pen and they're painting a picture. What are they doing? How do they know this? Because deep down in the core, this is a very powerful idea of the Balatanya, deep down in the core of every Nivra is the yearning to become part of that puzzle again. We're part of a puzzle. We are a puzzle, right? The body is a puzzle. The world is a puzzle. But the puzzle is often in chaos, in disintegration, just like our mind is that way. So we see separate things and we bring it together. And every Elul doesn't want to be separate. The child in captivity, when he sees his parents, is overjoyed. If he would have never been their child, he would have not been overjoyed. It would have just been meeting strangers, which is a nice experience. But because he really belongs in their bosom, and then he's separated in brutal fashion, and the separation is harsh and intense. That's why he uses the word shivya, captivity. It's not just he went on some business trip, which is also a separation, but it's a serious separation. It's an intense separation. So that coming back, that reunion, only creates a much profounder sense of simcha, profounder sense of joy. Yes?
It also sounds like that the word Elul is related to the word Elul. That's the most we're trying to do.
Okay. Just Elul is with an I and Elul with an Aleph, but fine. Okay. Oh, okay. Very nice. So you say in Elul, the Elul is trying to come back to the Ilah. Okay. Anila Daidi v'Daidi li. Elul Anila Daidi v'Daidi li. That's what Davud Raham writes. Yeah.
One of the main concepts in chiropractic is maintenance. To maintain, to say every day, it's not just on Pesach.
Right. You don't just go to a chiropractor once a year, you say, and then sit I get it. And then sit hunched over, all day. As I like.
It was right for that person. So we have like Rosh Hashanah, Nissan started, it just builds from there, and then we have a few days before Pesach, and then it builds up, and then going. I was thinking another good thing to do before Pesach is to go to mikveh.
What's the shaila? What's the shaila? Going to the mikveh b'chlal is a very good thing. It's good for everybody. Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. Ma mikveh mataris hatmeim afakadosh baruch hu mataris Yisrael. Aval moichin de abba. But then there's something called moichin de abba. Moichin de abba how Hokhmah me'ayin timotze. There's an expression, a pasuk in Iyov. Perek Chavches, Job chapter 28. Hokhmah me'ayin timotze. Here too, the literal reading of the pasuk is ha-Chokhmah me'ayin timotze. Where are you going to find Chokhmah? It's not like you're walking in the street and you're going to find Chokhmah. You can walk in the street and find a Metzorah. You can find a pen and you can find a phone and you can maybe find an expensive piece of jewelry if you're lucky. As we say in Yiddish, gefunden a Metzorah. You found a Metzorah. Metzorah means you found something unexpected. But the pasuk in Mesilas says, don't expect to walk in the street and find Chokhmah. This is not something that you can just ha-Chokhmah me'ayin timotze. Where are you going to find Chokhmah? It's not something that's easy to access or that you can access just randomly. It's a unique gift. The Baal HaTanya teaches it not as a question, but also b'nechus as a statement. Ha-Chokhmah me'ayin timotze. Chokhmah emerges, timotze, like a Metzorah emerges from nothingness, from ayin. What is the meaning? Ayin nikre ma she'enei musag. Ayin doesn't mean that which doesn't exist. Ayin means that which is not comprehended. It's not grasped. It's not fathomed. I can't own it. I can't wrap my brain around it. Musag, like the word lahasig means, I can reach it. I can fathom it and I can grasp it, which is what ha-saga means. When we speak about a concept and I really understand it, in many ways I own it. There's a difference between listening to something and getting it, right? You say, I got it. I got it. You always see it, how you communicate it to somebody else. Somebody could listen to something and then when somebody asks, what did you hear? They stumble, they stutter, they can't really communicate it because it sounded good, but they didn't really get it. There was no ha-saga. Right? Sometimes people sit for years and years and years in yeshivas and batei medrash. They hear tons of shiurim, tons of stuff, but there was no ha-saga. They never stop to really take it in. It should become yours. You have to own it. For you to own it, it can't be that the teacher owns it. That's his ownership of it. The student must own it on his own. That's what ha-saga is. Saga means I wrap myself around it. It's taka mine. Baal HaTanya in Perek of Tanya describes Torah, and he says when a person understands Torah and understands it well, so he says, "V'hu yichud nifla." She'ein yichud kamoye v'loy ka'erkoi nimtza klal b'gashmi es liyas la'achadim u'miyachadim mamash mikol tzadu pina. The achdus between the human brain, the intellect, and the divine idea, he says, is a yichud that you don't have anywhere, even in the physical world. Liyas la'achadim u'miyachadim mamash. Because when you really understand something, it's yours. It's yours. That's what ha-saga means. That's why ha-saga both means understanding, like you say la-hasig, to understand it, and la masig et zel, like you say ich verstehe es nicht. But the word ha-saga means to reach, right? Ubo kol ha-brachas ha'ela v'hi sigucha. Parshas kisavai. V'hi sigucha. Then there's the voice of Rabbinim of Pesach, v'hi sigucha, he said, like ha-sagas harayvet. And the pasuk v'hi sigucha, the brachas will reach you. You never heard this from Rabbi Tversky? As if ha-sagas harayvet, like ha-sagas harayvet. Which means, if you learn Rambam, on the side of Rambam, there's ha-sagas harayvet. Ha-sagas means the Rayvet challenges him. Ha-saga here doesn't mean the Rayvet understands him. It means fakert. Ha-sagas harayvet, the Rayvet is always challenging the Rambam. Zehevel, this is not, the Rayvet was very sharp with the sharp on the Rambam and Mishnah Torah. So the ha-sagas harayvet is like he challenged him. Real machlokes. So Rabbinim, that's what he probably meant. The bol kalabrach selav his sigucha, they challenge you. When you have a bracha, it challenges.
When you're reaching for something, it's being challenged.
No, it's a calling. It's a calling. Rabbi Shalom gives you a gift. It's not just a gift to spoil you. It's a challenge.
You can't challenge somebody if you really don't understand it.
Right.
First you have to talk to...
Right.
Think positive about it. Something that they put into the book.
Yeah. And it comes out of respect. If you don't appreciate the person, what are you challenging for? You dismiss it, right?
What is that opposite between the brain and the Torah, like the fifth parak of the Tanya?
Yeah.
What's the nature of it that's different from other secular knowledge?
Oh, that's a good question. You're saying, okay, yeah, it's a good question, but it's not for now. It's
Just a drop of it, because you mentioned it. You opened the door, so I'm asking you to tell me a little bit about what you're saying.
okay, so I'll just say one thing. Because Torah is divine wisdom, so when a Jew understands Torah, so it's a very deep, intimate relationship with Hashem.
Because it's divine, it connects with my divine.
Right. Yeah. The seichel is toifes the muskel. But for this, the idea has to come into a state that's called yesh. And that's what Binah is. As we said, Binah is the concretization of the intangible. It's the transition from ayin to yesh. And all Olam Haba is based on that. Olam Haba is basically Binah. Lahanchil oy havai yesh. I can give them something. And that's what the Olul can celebrate. I can celebrate something. Why can I celebrate something? Because the something allows for the I to celebrate it. In other words, my I, intact, can find its truth and can celebrate it. And that's what the harmony is. The child comes back to the parent and there's a real relationship, because the distance between parents and children is a painful reality. Today, it's a big discussion today, people's issues with their fathers and mothers. It's spoken a lot today. The real issue is that it's such a big issue because parents and children are really so close. And because they're so close, when there's distance, there's a void. There's a void. Now, sometimes part of life is facing certain voids, If somebody's in a family and there's lots and lots of challenges over there and a lot of wrong behavior, sometimes you have to face very deep voids, and it's sad. But very often those voids can be dealt with in a very beautiful fashion by reuniting people. So when you reunite, what happens is the child's I can experience alignment with the source of his I, which is Mami and Tati. The same is true with spouses, the same is true with parents and children. Right? V'higada televincha, that's the idea of v'higada televincha, to connect to your child, to allow the Ila and the Olol to be able to unite in a deep way.
Back to Pesach, a
reunion, a chuppah.
But the issue is being that she was taken from it.
Yeah.
The Olol is again.
Kimei ish lukacha. She's called Isha because she was taken from Ish. So there's a woman.
Ish lachzer acha Isha, and that Isha lachzer acha Ish, the Gemara says it should be the Olol looking for the Ila. Unless you say that in each one there's a feminine and a masculine, that has to be good.
It's a good ha'ara. She's mistama nishta za olol. She's nishta za olol. But the Gemara does say tav l'meisav, duma l'meisav armala, right? That there's a special yearning in a woman for companionship, for camaraderie that men don't always experience consciously. The Gemara often uses that as a truth in life. The sense of loneliness and solitariness is felt more acutely by a woman, at least very often. And you also see when there's a breakdown, a subtle breakdown in a marriage relationship, sometimes it takes the man 3-4 years to figure it out. It's like, really? There was a problem? We go to Costco every Sunday. What do you mean?
Is that why she'll make concessions in her suva because she wants to be married?
Right, that's what the Gemara says. Yeah, tavla meisavdu. So all
Just have to see the boy before they're married.
right, yeah. It's advisable, but yeah. Asr la'adam l'kadosh achirena. So all binah is a form of ayin being morphed into yesh, which allows me to experience it. What's ayin? Ayin doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Ayin means einoi musig. I call it ayin. We call it ayin. We call it nothing because I can't own it. I can't grab it. That's what ayin means. Ayin nikra mashene musik. L'mayla mayla mebchinas binah ha-saga. It's completely beyond. And he says l'mayla mayla twice, not just beyond, above. In other words, don't call it another ilah. Right, because if he would say l'mayla, you would say, okay, Binah is the ilah of midas, aim habonim, and Hokhmah is the ilah of Binah. No, he says l'mayla mayla. L'mayla mayla means above being an ilah. L'mayla from the concept of mayla. L'mayla from being the l'mayla mayla mebchinas binah ha-saga. Dahainu shemizgal lebchinas eirin seif baruch hu. When we speak in Kabbalah or Machshav or Chassidus about Gilui Moichin da Abba or Gilui Moichin, what does it mean? Yeah. So the Kabbalistic term was always, the Arizal would say, Shabbos is Gilui Moichin da Abba. Okay, go figure it out. Right. So the Balatanya, who was the great Magdir, the great definer, to be Magdir what these Musagam are. So he says, Dahainu, what does it mean there's a Gilui Moichin da Abba? Shemizgal lebchinas eirin seif baruch hu ma deleis machshavet fisabe. The Ein Sof that emerges, that comes out, that's revealed, is that which leis machshavet tfisa. That's an expression of Tikkunei Zohar, the Hagdama of Tikkunei Zohar. Some people say it Erev Shabbos before Mincha, Pesach Eliyahu. Leis machshavet tfisa beklal. No thought, no idea can grasp him. Leis machshavet tfisa beklal. V'loi nitein loi hanes bai. Nor can you enjoy it. Hokhmah you can't enjoy. Why can't you enjoy? Me'achar she'ein sham shum tfisa ha-saga. Enjoyment by definition means I enjoy. I enjoy means I get it. I chap it. You know when you hear that idea, that you didn't understand and then you understand it, there's a tremendous tainug. You learn something and you're struggling and then you chap it. It's almost like you could feel this tremendous sense of delight. That's the seichel, that's the tainug of a Hokhmah. There's the tainug of a niggin. You hear a niggin, you chap. There's the tainug of a story. There's the tainug of a relationship. There's the tainug of experiencing a friendship or doing a favor for somebody. These are all different pleasures that the person can experience. When I grasp something, there's a hana. But why is there a hana? Why is there a simcha? There's a simcha because I was teufus it. I was massing it. In Hokhmah, there won't be hana. And the reason there won't be hana is because I can't experience it.
Once he experiences, he appreciates the Hokhmah.
When the Hokhmah comes into Binah, in other words, when it goes through the transformation from ayin to yesh, so Binah I can grasp. That's what Binah really means. Binah means I understand. And I build it, I develop it, and I can then communicate it and do a lot with it. Hokhmah represents an idea when it's still very nebulous, very intangible. Like I said yesterday, it gets you, you don't get it. Somebody once said, I think they attributed to Edison, Thomas Edison, that all invention is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, which is schwitzen, right? Binah is perspiration. Hokhmah is inspiration. That's why you also can't prepare for it. You'll never know when the brainstorm is going to come in. You can't say, okay, I'm going to get ready for a brainstorm. You don't get ready for a brainstorm. If you get ready for it, it's not a brainstorm. You can't force it. Binah is a process that you can not force, but you can facilitate. You could say, I'm going to sit down now for 2 hours and think through the inyan and develop it. Hokhmah, you could sit there for 20 hours. Either sekimt or the sekimt nicht. Einfall. It falls, yeah. Ha-Hokhmah, me ayin timotzei. It comes from ayin. Both pshatim. Me ayin timotzei. You know why? Because it comes from ayin. Where are you going to find it? I can't say, oh, there it is. Me ayin. It comes from a place of ayin. When you have this brainstorm, this epiphany, this einfall, where does it come from? It also comes from you. Where do you think it came from? It comes from what's called koyach hamaskil. It comes from what's called, Baltanya calls it koyach hamaskil, or keser. It comes from an unconscious reservoir of information, of data, of inspiration that exists in us, but we have no conscious access to it. And then the brain produces this flow. from the unconscious to the conscious, so it's called ayin. But in the state of Hokhmah, it's still in a state of ayin, even though we feel it. And then Binah transforms it from ayin into yesh. Like the sperm, like the seed of life, it shoots out, as the Gemara says, yearning, but without the woman, nothing happens. It's tremendous potential. You have a tremendous potential, which is why the Chazal and the Mekabolim were so sensitive about emitting seed without a purpose, because the potential of seed and what's in it microscopically and spiritually is incredibly powerful. And that's why it has to be treated with such dignity and such respect. Often people don't understand. This is very important, especially for young people. They think that the prohibitions of halacha is there to take away people's fun. It's the exact opposite. It's in order to help all halacha is in order to help the alul function as a reflection of the ilah. It's from a place of unity. So when one appreciates the tremendous power and potential in the seed of life, which is the b'china of Hokhmah, it's treated with a tremendous dignity, with a tremendous respect. How we approach it, how we look at it, how we implement it, and so forth. But that's a state of potential, biologically speaking. Without the feminine, without the woman counterpart, what happens? Nothing, as we say, levatala. Tremendous potential, unbelievable potential. And alpinisters, neshama, a lot of stuff going on there. There's the potential for souls and a certain creation of souls. But without the keli, without the vessel, the feminine vessel, which can then absorb it and nurture it and allows it to fertilize an egg, which can then develop into an embryo and be developed. Without that, it's a fleeting, powerful, intense experience. And by the way, everything in Gashmis is always Ruchnius. It's not the worlds are not separate from each other. Everything that you see in the physical world is because it's that way in the spiritual world. There's also a tremendous pleasure in it, a tremendous tainug in it, but it's fleeting. Why is it fleeting? Because it's a state of ayin. It's not going to form into a yesh. This is all a metaphor. So let's get back to the Nimshal. What is Hokhmah? Hokhmah is moichin the Abba, the mind of the Father. Mind of the Father means whenever there's a gili of Ein Sof, that leis machshavet tfisa be not in a state of yesh, I can't have hana from it. Why can't I have hana from it? All hana means I'm enjoying it. Hana always comes with the prefix word, I. That's what enjoyment is. I am intact and I'm here. When I grasp something, who grasps at me? My brain, my heart, my emotion. I feel like I own it. Hokhmah, I never feel like I own it. I can't. You know why? Because it doesn't lend itself to that space. On a deeper level, if you want to go one step deeper, just to say it in different words, but a little more abstract and a little more to bring out the MS. If I remain in the state of I could never experience Hokhmah. Hokhmah you can't experience. Because if you're experiencing it, it's not Hokhmah, it's Binah.
The pleasure that comes with Hokhmah, you got something new hits you, you have a pleasure coming. What's that?
Partly to Binah.
Grasp it.
Knowledge that can develop this. To understand how much you grasp.
Okay, it's a good to Shaila. We'll soon see. It's a good to Shaila.
There's a difference. You're getting.
We'll soon see this tainug and the simcha. There's tainug and there's simcha. That's the two things. Tainug is connected to Hokhmah and simcha is connected to Binah. Now let's understand. In Ruchnius, there's a person. Yeah. There's a word from the Balatanya. He once said that the first mitzvah after Matan Torah, the first thing Hashem says after Matan Torah, right after, what's the first message? Matan Torah tzach geendigt. First mitzvah, Mizbeach Adam Tasali. Right after. V'chol shel re'echa v'chol amrayim es hakolos es halapidim. Hashem tells Moshe, Mizbeach Adam Tasali. Make an altar from earth. V'zavachta alav es eleisecha v'es shlamecha. On this Mizbeach, you should sacrifice your oilers and your shlamim, which are two types of karbonas, a carbon oiler, which gets burned completely, and a carbon shlamim, which you also eat. So he types the first mitzvah after Matan Torah is Mizbeach Adam Metasale. I'll say it in Yiddish and then I'll translate. So it's boyen a Mizbeach from Bittel. Mizbeach Adam is als boyen a Mizbeach. V'zavachte alav. Auf dem Mizbeach sollst du schechten. Oiloi secha v'shlemecha. Deine Aliyasen und deine Schleimasen. On this altar of earth, which represents Bittel, complete oneness, you should slaughter, you should sacrifice your need for oila, for aliyas, for going up, and your need for shlamecha, for perfection. What does this mean? This is the difference of Binah and Hokhmah. You have a person, I want madregas. I want madregas. What do I really want? I want to feel, I want to experience, I want to wrap my brain around it. It's very beautiful. There's only one issue. I remain stuck in the world of yesh. The issue is leis machshavet tfisa bey. A relationship with ultimate truth requires not just a sense of humility and not just a sense of openness. Obviously, that's binah too, but something much deeper. The ability to be able to really surrender completely the very I. Even the ability to have hana. Because even hana, what's hana? Hana is I grasp. Mitzvahs, that's the pshat. Mitzvahs, the real pshat, the deeper pshat. Mitzvahs lav lehanas nitnu. There's an element of a mitzvah which translates into yesh. Binah, moichin de'ima. Which I celebrate, which I appreciate, because I internalize it. I wrap my brain around it. And as long as I can wrap my brain around it, it's gewaldig. And I want more, and I want more, and I want more, and I want more. But that's all the realm of Ilah and Alul. In other words, what's Ilah? Ilah is the place where I find myself. Yesh mi yesh. Take the apple tree today. Go back to the seeds that were created in Sheshis and Bereshis, and you'll find the same properties, even if it's 5,779 years later. Our DNA goes back to Adam and Chava, or at least Cain, Hevel, and Shes. I don't know about Adam and Chava's DNA. Ananda Mohus. In many ways, we're 5,000 years old. It's all one connection because the yesh comes from a previous yesh, comes from a previous yesh, comes from a previous yesh. The first yesh and the last yesh may be thousands of levels remote from each other, but in the first yesh, you can find the last yesh. And in the last yesh, you could find the first yesh. That's why from the egg of the salmon, you're never going to have a chicken. Why not? Why not? Why does it never happen a chicken emerges? You have an halacha, para sheyolda kein chamar, chamar sheyolda kein para. You have unique anomalies in nature. But generally speaking, you're not going to have from the human embryo will come out a horse. Yeah. A mensch is a mensch, a ferd is a ferd. And why? Why? It's a seed. What's the difference? This seed, that seed. The pshat is, it's not just seed. The seed has in it exactly what's going to come out in potentiality. In other words, the last yesh is all there in the first one, and the first one is there in the last one. B'meila, what gives the olul simcha? What gives the olul simcha is that it found itself. It can find itself in the first yesh. It can find itself because that's where it comes from. That's the simcha of the olul. I found myself. I found my real self. That's all binah. In Hokhmah, it's a completely different reality. I don't find myself. I lose myself. And if I lose myself, that means there's no I to lose anymore. As long as I can lose myself, it's great. But in real Hokhmah, it's leis machshavet tfisa bey. It's ayin. Ayin. There's no I to be toifus. If I am intact, shenish Hokhmah. This is a completely different nekudah in Avodas Hashem. And it's two states. There's moichin de imah, there's moichin de abba. You should shecht your need to be a Muslim to be a Lamaila, to be a Baal Madrega. What's that? I want to be a Baal Madrega, yeah? So I want Shleimus, Chzuk Shleimus. What am I looking for? Okay, you have it in a foolish way. The person is just delusional. I'm not talking about that, or neurotic, or whatever, or just egotistical, or whatever. They just hear words. But I'm talking about even in a very spiritually sophisticated way. Sometimes I'm not ready to give up on that. I'm happy to have a relationship, but ich muss hanoah haben. I have to have a seat on the head table. I got to be there on the head table. If I'm there at the head table, good. I'm loyal. But I have to find myself there. And then comes the moment when, in real truth, I have to be able to lose myself. And not find myself in losing myself. Not as another shleimus. Oh, I found myself so much, I even lost myself. That's how much I found myself. I'm so perfect, I'm bottled too. Ich hab de shleimus from bittel euch.
So you're never going to know about it.
That's Meichen Abba. That's oneness.
So, a person can move to get to that? Or?
It can happen for a second.
And in a way, this is much deeper. This is einig. You also see. That's Meichen Abba. Hokhmah and Binah to Matzah. What's his lashon? His lashon is lo nitin lahanis boy. It doesn't allow you to have hanoah. Why? The hanoah by definition means my metzius is intact. I'm the one defining it. Alul it works for. The alul comes back to the ilah. I find myself in the ilah. That's what ilah is. Ilah means you can find yourself there. If you can't find yourself there, it's not your ilah. And we jumped to number 2. Number 1 is deep stuff. Number 1 is deep. Number 1 means you have to be able to find yourself there. Can you find yourself there? Can you really find yourself there? That's a tremendous stage in avodah, in a relationship. If there's a relationship where you can't find yourself there, it's not a relationship. It doesn't bring out your truth, your emes.
Mesilas called it self-actualization.
Yeah. Ultimate self-actualization. What does avodas Hashem mean in this place? It means ultimate self-actualization. Because what's the ultimate self? The ultimate self is you're an expression, you're a manifestation of the divine. So ultimate avodas Hashem means ultimate self-actualization. The whole Torah and mitzvahs is not here just to crush a person, chas v'shalom, or to harness you, or to spoil all fun in life. So that when you want to eat pizza for 7 days, you're not allowed to eat pizza. Although today, come on, some pizza, kosher Pesach. Right? A person is the exact opposite. The whole function of Yiddishkeit is to bring out your best self, your deepest self, your most authentic self, the artist in you, the soul in you, the dancer in you, the creative person in you, the power in you. That's what it is. That's what tefillah means. Tefillah comes from the word alignment. Ha-toifel klei cheres. Naftulei Elokim niftalti im achoisi. Connection. We touch tefillah as prayer, but that's really a King James. It's a different translation. The translation of tefillah is alignment, connection. Just like mitzvah. Mitzvah we translate commandment. The Gemara says in Brachas Davav, right? Litzavos, miloshin safsa. Mitzvah is a link. Torah we translate as law, but the Zohar, the Maral, the Radak translate Torah as a lesson. Torah miloshin hayra. Now go through all these translations. Prayer, some people are into prayer, some people are not. But everybody wants to be connected. Not everybody wants to be commanded, but everybody wants to be connected. Not everybody wants laws, but everybody wants lessons. If you do a business workshop, I'm going to give you laws, then nobody's going to show up. I'm going to give you lessons. Everybody's going to show up. Who doesn't want lessons? Lessons in life.
10 secrets.
The 10 secrets, the 10 this, the 10 that. Highly effective teenagers, highly effective shlemazolim. The seven effective habits of shlemazolim. Why are they so successful and they could remain shlemazolim? That's what Moichin the. So I'm taking this from high madregas and bringing it down, but it's all connected. That's what ishtalshalus means. The lowest alul can find itself in the highest ilah because it's a train. That's what ishtalshalus means.
Ten Commandments also probably has a different.
Well, the word is aseres hadibris. It's not commandments. It's 10 conversations. It's true. I'm not making this up. It's 10 conversations that God had with his people at the foot of a mountain. That's very moving. That sells. Why? Because you could find yourself there. I would like to know, what are the 10 conversations? If you would see a book, the 10 conversations you should have with your children before you die. Nice? Huh? Okay. There's such a book? Okay. 5 conversations. Fine. Okay. And one of them should be, of course, respect your father. And your mother, etc. But the point here is that's the first stage is very deep. That elikos is where you could ultimately find yourself. Anashama zuch der Eibishter. Tzama nafshi lelikim. We may not know that we're looking for God. So one says, I'm looking for peace, I'm looking for serenity, I'm looking to get rid of anxiety, I'm looking for a high, yeah. I'm looking to get rid of the pain, I'm looking for confidence, for one person I'm looking for money. I want money, just money, money, money. Right, I once asked a person, what's your ambition in life? He was in yeshiva with me, we were classmates. I asked him, what's your ambition in life? So he was 15 or 16. He said, my ambition in life is that when I walk into Macy's, I shouldn't go to the sales section. I should go to the most expensive section and be able to buy everything. And v'kach hava, to his credit, he fulfilled his ambition. And he lives that way, v'kach hava. So we may not know we're looking for God. I'm looking for honor. I'm looking for people to validate me. I'm looking for my wife to say a nice good morning and give a good breakfast, omelet with cheese and a croissant. Some people, that's it. Yeah. I knew a fellow who used to say, all I ask in life is that when I come home, there's a fresh dinner waiting for me. Is that so much to ask? Samanavshi lelekim. That's his samanavshi. He wants there should be a plate with hot food and a plastic to retain the heat. So the search could be manifested in endless ways. But underlying all the searches is the Alul wants to come back to the Ilah. That's always the Nakuda. But you have to find your niggin. And if you don't find your niggin, then you're singing somebody else's niggin. And if you're singing somebody else's niggin, it's not going to work. There was a chassid of the Balatanya, the Mittler Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek in Chabad. He was a very big chassid. Knows Rebbe Hillel of Parich. Parich is a city in the Ukraine, right? He was the Rav of Parich. His name was Rebbe Hillel. And he once gave a mashal, a beautiful, beautiful mashal. He said, to understand the neshama's journey in this world, you can understand it from a person. If there's anybody here who has a real chush in music, and again, if you're a music connoisseur, you'll appreciate it more. He said that this person heard a niggin. He was walking and he heard a shepherd playing this song on his harp or violin. And he was in a state of ecstasy. A niggin never touched him that way. It's like, you know, sometimes you hear this song and it transforms you. And he moved on and he tried to remember the niggin. He thought he did, but he forgot it. And he went back and he couldn't find that person. And he said for the rest of his life, wherever he went, he asked everybody who knew a niggin to sing him a niggin. He was hoping. And he paid people money because he was dying for that niggin. And people sang beautiful songs. And he said, it's a beautiful song, but it's not my niggin. You know, here's $1, here's a shekel, here's a ruble, but it's not my niggin. And his whole life he was looking for that niggin. He heard the beauty of all the songs, but he just knew it was not that song. And he said that the neshama has a niggin. That's its niggin, its melody. It comes down to this world, and it's looking for the melody. So it goes everywhere. It travels to Asia and Africa and Europe and all interesting types of places. It's looking for and it pays a lot of money. Yeah. I'll be maybe on the beach for 2 weeks in Cancun. Over there, I'll hear the niggin. And it doesn't even know the word niggin anymore. The niggin could become a hot dog. The niggin could become sushi. The niggin could become cheesecake. The niggin can become covered, money, power, but I'm really looking for a niggin. The olul is looking for its niggin. It wants to know the melody from which it was conceived. And you pay a lot of money for it, the niggin. I buy my private yacht, a niggin, and it's a beautiful niggin, and for 3 weeks I'm in the skies. But afterwards, like we learned in the Maim of Hokhmah, he says that even a Jew is very wealthy and very successful. After that, he's still looking for a niggin. And people are looking everywhere. And then he says, you hear the niggin. You hear the niggin, and there's no doubts. This is the niggin. You say, how do you know? I don't need to take it to a laboratory, right? You have to take it to a laboratory, then it's shenish the niggin. I don't have to prove it. Because you know, because your whole soul comes to life. Sometimes there's people, they're searching their whole life for truth. They search here. There's some people sitting in this room. They have been every type of place, looking. You know, there's Jews, they're so empty, they feel out in a newspaper. Here, there's something. They're looking for madregas and aliyas and shlemas. There's a person here, there's something here. Wherever there's action, I'm there. You have a lot of young people. They're so desperate, looking for their niggin. There's such an emptiness. And sometimes people spend decades looking. And it satisfies something, and it's all good, but it's not your niggin. It's not your niggin. And then you meet your niggin. That's the olul meets the ilah. You meet your niggin, and you're there. Why are you there? Because you come from there. And because the olul can always find itself in the ilah, therefore there's tremendous simcha, there's tremendous hana. But that's all moichin de a'imah. It's a gewaldik. But that's finding yourself in truth. Finding yourself in the ilah. The truth's not a problem. The truth is that the first ilah is also a yesh. You're finding yourself in the place where your self exists, in a great place. But that's also a yesh. Lahanchil oyev a yesh. So then there's moichin de abba. Wat heb ik genomen te zeggen? Oh. Then there's moichin de abba. Moichin de abba, that's ayin. I'm not going to find myself there. And that's the signal I'm saying. Not I'm not going to find myself because it's too deep. No, it's much deeper than that. Not because it's a bigger ilah. Because if I find myself there, it's not there. Shenish das. Leis machshavet fisabay. It's not another ilah. It's not, okay, we're going to go further. The spaceship made it to the moon, and then we'll go further up. No. You're not in the place of ilah anymore.
For that, like the niggin, like what said. What's the mashal for that?
And when you stand face to face, when you stand face, I once heard from the Lubavitcher Rebbe of Fabrengen. He said it over, he heard it from his father-in-law, who heard it from his father, the Rebbe Rashab. And he didn't break down, but he almost broke down when he said it. You saw that it was very, very, very emotional. So he said that the Rebbe Rashab, his father told that the Rebbe Rashab once said, Chassidus stellt weg ayid ponim beponim mit atzmus ein Sof Baruch Hu. Chassidus stellt weg ayid ponim beponim mit atzmus ein Sof Baruch Hu. Chassidus places a Jew face to face with Atzmus Ein Sof, with the essence of Ein Sof. When one encounters that, there's only one of two choices. Choice number one is, I run as fast as possible. This is dangerous territory. I run as fast as possible. Because who wants to give up the yesh? We're not talking about giving up the stupid yesh. We're talking about giving up the Likkutei yesh. The Ruchni, who wants to give up the Likkutei yesh? Who wants to give up the dveikis, with the regesh, with the madregas, with the aliyas? Who wants to give that up? That's everything, no? My inspiration and my dveikis. Ona Hashem, Oishiyana. The whole inspiration. Who wants to give that up? I'm talking about even when it's mamish. I'm not talking about the person is screaming and doesn't believe anything. He's just thinking about his appointment. The oil is the shleimus metatach v'gena emes the real person. We're not talking about con artists who don't even know they're con artists, which means the rachmanis is much more. Because if I'm a con artist and I know I'm a con artist, it's schon good. You know, I could heal one day. I can go to therapy and say, what do I do? I'm a con artist. But when I'm delusional, I don't even know. I'm lying to myself. Like the Kotzker said, loy signav means don't steal from yourself, right? Don't lie to yourself. Then I completely don't know what it is. I think elikus and chaluptzas are the same thing. You know what chaluptzas are, huh? Stuffed cabbage. Godliness and stuffed cabbages are more or less the same thing. They both make you feel good. But we're talking about a more serious person. I don't want to give up this. I don't want to give up the ruchnias. We're talking about yeshes that comes from ruchnias. We're not talking about yeshes of a coarse, hedonistic, egotistical, self-centered narcissist. We're talking about yeshes that's connected to kindness, to spirituality, to transcendence, to divinity. We're talking about the Olul coming back to the Ilah, the real Ilah, not a fake Ilah. But that's the truth of Moich and Abba. The truth of Moich and Abba is Leis Machshavet Tfisa Beklal. The greatest challenge to that truth is not lies. The greatest challenge to truth is truth. You heard what I just said. The greatest obstacle to truth is not a lie. That's like Chaim L'Shaila, my Kamashmalon, with that a lie is an obstacle to truth. For this you have to learn the Likkutei, that a lie is an obstacle. The basic humanity. Well, not everybody knows it, but it's basic humanity. This is Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. That the greatest obstacle to truth is truth. The formulation of truth. The concretization of truth. The experience of truth. But if it's an experience of truth, what truth is it? It's the experience of truth. Okay. Oichel nefesh, yeah, garnished. That's the difference. Oichel nefesh is hana. Yeah, oichel nefesh is also spiritual oichel nefesh. The lashon pasuk is acha sheye'asa l'chol nefesh, hu levada ye'asa lechem. What the nefesh needs to eat, you have to do on Yom Tov. Forget, you have to. Shabbos oichel nefesh is also. We'll see tomorrow. He's going to quote a Yerushalmi. That me'ikir hadin, there should have been an isser to speak divrei Torah on Shabbos. A Yerushalmi. That me'ikir hadin, there should have been an isser to speak divrei Torah. Yerushalmi says that. Because it's yesh. Because it's yesh.
Is it wonder? Is it bechina of wisdom?
Yeah.
Wonder. Is it basically desire to know, but not the knowledge itself? It's wonder. You want to be.
Yeah. I think wonder is part of it. Hokhmah is the power of wonder. Wonder. Wunder. A Wunder Rabiner. Rabbi Isaac is verstanden.
I used to lack the feeling because it can't make sense out of it. Can this work intelligently? This Hokhmah and Binah to lose yourself and to find yourself?
Well, you have to explain your question a little more.
It's worth just by learning it and understanding it to be able to find yourself. And then
I think learning about it is a tremendous help and an introduction, but ultimately when there is deep fear of dealing with my emotions, I have to deal with that.
you can't reach that.
Learning about it's all good to give the information, but ultimately the person will have to confront the terror. The midness is the way it relates to me. When we speak about Binah, we don't only mean Binah, we mean how Binah translates into Midas. Midas are the Olul of Binah. We speak about Ilah and Olul. Midas come from Binah. Binah comes from Hokhmah. Everything is connected. There's the Midas the way they come from Binah. There's the Midas the way Binah translates into Midas, and that's really very important because Midas always means making it personal. Binah, I can understand something. So, I'm a computer. A computer understands better than me everything. You put in the data in the computer, it'll do much better, but the computer has no Midas. Yeah. The computer knows much better than everybody. We all know that. The best of cup, right? The best of cup. But the Midah, to brechen a midah, to change a midah, the computer can't do that. Computer will never tell you, I'm in the mood of getting a virus. But it's scaffy, I'll break myself and I'll be nice to you. When the computer has a virus, it has a virus. That's it, done. A person can have a virus, can have an infection and say, I'll still behave like a mensch. So midas is really the concept of making the moichin personal. Midas is always the personalization. It becomes real for me. But really what an emotion is, a feeling is, you know. You say, I feel that this is the right thing. What does it mean I feel it's the right thing? You have it on different levels. The feeling could be very abstract, like I just feel in my mind, but then you can actually feel it, you know. It really translates into a very concrete midah. There's many levels in midas itself. But midas begins in moichin. Midas is the olol of the ilah. Because all midas come from awareness, right? So the parent of midas is always moichin. Eim habonim smecha. The mother of the children is what brings simcha, but she's a mother of the children. And when the mother unites with her children, there's simcha.
When you connect to Hashem through mitzvahs, why do you want to go beyond that? Why do you want to lose that connection?
You don't lose fakat. You become really connected. Bittul doesn't mean you lose the connection. Bittul means you become really connected. But the connection is so profound that there's no hana.
Right, so why do you want to...
It's a deeper connection.
Why do you want to lose that?
And it's not just the hana from not having hana. There's no hana. There's hana from not having hana. You know that idea.
Why do you want to lose that?
You know what I mean? The hana that I gave up. There was a man who once said, the best feeling in the world is to do something anonymously and somebody finds out, right? Al pi chassidus, the pshat is, you're not having hana, but you have hana from that. You get credit for not taking credit, for not getting credit. You know, when they get up at a dinner, at a Monsey's dinner, and they say, there's a person who doesn't want me to mention his name, and he's going to kill me, but... And he doesn't kill him, right? He doesn't kill him for mentioning his name. Yeah. Exactly.
It shouldn't stop you from...
No, I'm saying that minish wegen them. Here we're talking about there's no hana. There's hana from not having hana. Rebbe Zriel, tafasta? Tafasta Hokhmah? Echt tafasta Hokhmah? Binah tafasta.
I think the pleasure of having Hokhmah though is that if you prepare before a keli, then the Hokhmah falls in. You grab, now the Binah can work it. The pleasure is that, wow, the work paid out and I was able to grasp it.
Yeah.
You have to secretly have Hokhmah. You have to like...
If the midos are I, then the midos in a way get in the way of...
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So get rid of midos.
No. When we speak about the there's moichin the Abba, there's moichin dim. It's two tremendous qualities. Each one has its place in Avodas Hashem. There's balance, yeah. There's Shabbos, there's Yom Tov.
Balance and alignment are huge words. It's like creation. Clarity.
Yeah, Chokhmah is that too. That's also ayin. The reason the clarity of Chokhmah dissipates is because it's ayin. If it would be yesh, it would stay. Yesh stays, ayin doesn't stay.
How do you hold on to it? How do you hold on to it?
You prepare proper keli, no?
You don't hold on to it. If you need to hold on to it, it's not it. You don't hold on to it, you don't own it. You don't mevatel yourself to it. You don't hold on to it.
It changes you. But it changes.
It changes you, of course. Yeah. Binah is you hold on to. The world of Ilah and Olul begins in spheres from Binah. That's what he began the Maimer, that there's two pchinas of Erein Soif. There's two pchinas. There's Ishtalshlus, there's Lamayla Mishtalshlus. Ishtalshlus begins with Binah, and everything under that. Chokhmah is generally a Lamayla Mishtalshlus. Ilah and Olul begins from the realm of Binah. You understand? Hokhmah is not the Ilah of Binah. Hokhmah may ayin timotzei. It's a pchina of ayin. Yes, sometimes if you get down to more specifics, we'll say that Chokhmah is also part of Ishtalshlus and there's Keser beyond. But generally speaking, Ila v'alul begins with Binah, because Binah is the first yesh. Binah is where Lakus comes into a yesh. Chacham, it's still a state of ayin. You understand? So when there's a gilui of Binah of Lakus, it's Ila. That's the first yesh. Once there's the first yesh, you can now go down to the lowest yesh, but it's connected. It's like the last apple tree is connected to the first seed. Go back, 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 back. Seed, apple tree, seed, apple tree, seed, 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 apple tree, tree, seed, 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 all the way to the first one. And they're connected, even if it's very far away. The last human being standing is connected to the first human being. A lot of mutations. Of course, a lot of mutations. I'm not comparing the two, but they're connected. You can find the last and the first. The mutations are small fractions which are significant. We're not undermining the mutations. But ultimately 99% or more is the same. And that's the Nekuda. The Ulul could be very, very far. Klippa, Asiya, everything, but it's the Ulul of the Ila, and therefore it comes back and it's right back. It's right back at the head table. It celebrates itself. That's all Binah. When there's a Gilui of Hokhmah of Ein Sof, it never came into Yesh. Binah is where Lakus, Kavayachal, godliness, becomes a Nikud of a Yesh. An Lakus Yesh. We're not talking about a Yesh, Verstunkene Yesh. We're talking about a Lakus. You typhus? But Ein Sof and Hokhmah is before a state of Yesh. It's a state of Ayin. So when Binah comes out, it's simcha. When Hokhmah comes out, it's not simcha. Can't be simcha.
When Adam Harishon was in Gan Eden, and before the tree of the that's Torah. So when he ate, he got the Binah because now he was, as the first time, self-awareness came from that act.
Yeah.
So before he was in the state of Hokhmah, or
he didn't like it.
he wanted to personalize.
There's an expression of the Alter Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya once said, that the chet of Adam Harishon and Chava with eating of the Eitz Hadas was, listen to this, this is only the Alter Rebbe could say, that the sin of Adam and Chava eating of the Eitz Hadas was, they wanted to experience God. That was the sin. He put it, he said, Zem gewollt fillen Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem.
What's wrong with that? We try all day to do that.
You're right. That's why I said only the Alter Rebbe could say that. But I'm calling it a sin. Yen is sin. For us, it would be a big mitzvah. That would be our whole ambition. For what's our biggest mitzvah was for them their greatest sin. Because when you understand the oimek of Elikus, that leis machshavet tfisa, our discussion of spirituality is all in yeshes. We never speak about ayin. You don't find this. People don't speak about ayin. Speak about yesh. The question is what level of yesh. So, but what Alter Rebbe taught is that our greatest mitzvah was their greatest sin. Because where Yiddishkeit really begins is in the place of ayin. They want to experience God. Why they want to experience God? Because when you're one with God, you don't experience God. Because if you're one with Him, there's no experience. Because if there's an experience, it means there's distance. If there's experience, it means there's the I that's experiencing, which means the Ein Sof has been restricted. But in the real oneness, there's no experience. But there's no joy. They wanted the geschmack. What does it say? Chava looked at the fruit. Yeah? Toiv lamar and nechmad lahaskel. So he touched, it's not stam, but it was a cute, nice esrig or grape or chita, teina. It's a beautiful fig. Yeah. The geschmack of Elikus, the geschmack of Ava V'yira, that was their sin.
So the same thing from
Similar, yeah. A different oifen.
To become one means it ceases to exist.
Real one.
Being
Real one. Right. But Hashem didn't leave reality in the world of Chokhmah. He created Binah. In other words, Elikus wanted to come into a state of yesh.
They have to come to a state of yesh.
Yeah, we're not erased. Hishtalshalis is real. The same God who less machshavet tfisa put himself in a state of Binah where there is machshavet tfisa. Elikus did become yesh. And that's the balance of existence, the balance of humanity. There's moichin da'aba, there's moichin da'ima. There's the growth of the self, towards the ultimate self. And then there's the growth of self-transcendence. There's finding yourself in truth, and there's losing yourself in truth. There's finding yourself in God, and there's losing yourself in God.
What is the level going to be when Mashiach comes in relation to this?
Ah.
You're going to be like Olam and Chava, not the way that's all.
Says even the Goyim then will have a very big revelation of Hashem. So
Lo yiyeh eisek kol olam elo l'dasas Hashem b'lvad. Kamayim lo yamachasa. So if it's zayin good, whatever it's going to be, so if it's zayin good, don't worry about
But
it.
it sounds like something different, though.
But don't worry about it. The main thing is not to worry about it.
It's not a choice. Chokhmah is not a choice, it's a choose.
The moment Hokhmah comes in is never a choice. It happens. The choice is if we become open to Hokhmah. If I'm open to Hokhmah, it can happen. I can create a vessel that's open. When Hokhmah happens, a person can't say, I need this idea. You can't force it. It'll happen when you don't expect it. You're walking in the street, you're sitting on the couch, you think you're doing nothing, but you'll realize that at that moment your mind was completely immersed and focused on that. Could be you were daydreaming. Sometimes you're just walking in the street, you're sitting on your couch and, like this, it's like this. And then you realize for the last 10 minutes you were thinking about it without noticing. And because you were so bottled, you were so tuned in, you were so focused, you created a keli, an opening, that the idea could come into you. That's Hokhmah. Koyach ma. That's why it's always a koyach. You say, what is it? Koyach ma. What is this? It's not tangible.
It's also a koyach of asking the question.
It's also the question, ma. Chacham mahu oimer, maha edus v'chukim.
It's the opposite of Binah.
Ah?
It's mamash your choice of thinking, and Chokhmah is your choice of letting it come.
Yeah.
I always think that we say Mika Elokeinu, and then after we say Mik, and then we annoy them, and then bless him, and then we say now we have a relationship after.
Yeah.
Without this, there is no.
Very good.
There is no relationship.
I'll tell you a vart tomorrow, bli neder, the ha-saga, that I heard once from the Lubavitch about Chacham Mahu Oimer. He explained this, the shtickle Chacham Mahu Oimer, the ha-saga based on this vart. Chacham Mahu Oimer. It's a Chacham. But it's a shtickle vart. Hokhmah, it doesn't have the regular boundaries. Because it doesn't have boundaries, it can't come into our yeshes. A yesh is concretized, like when the water becomes ice, right? That's an example of binah. You remember we learned the mime about sheleg? When water becomes ice, what happens? So on a atomic level, we know today, it's organized. Water, the atoms are completely meshuga. Completely meshuga. In ice, there's pashta seder. Also physically, we could feel the water. You can't grasp water. Ice, I can grasp. It's a mashal for shtickle ayin and yesh. When the water becomes ice, it's organized, it's tangible, it's concrete. We can't handle with them. You can make an asik with it. You can build a mountain. You can have an iceberg. An Isaac. Very good. It's almost good as weaseling out. You understand?
I used to also say it's a clear cut.
It's a clear cut, yeah. It's a clear cut, yeah. It's clear. And that's what Binah looks like. Make a seder. Let's make a seder. Binah is always orderly, structure. And there's no success without Binah. In our world, there's no success without Binah. The most important thing in a shir is Binah. In terms of the presentation, I'm talking about in terms of the students. For the students, the most important thing is Hokhmah. But for the teacher who already had his Hokhmah, hopefully, if not, he shouldn't be teaching. For the most important thing for him is Binah, organization, structure, seder. How are you going to say this? How are you going to present it? The beginning, like I spoke yesterday, it's always, what's the beginning? What's the middle? What's the end? How are people going to understand this? Is it going to be orderly? Is there going to be a beginning? Because if not, nobody's going to know what you're talking about. Especially if you're talking about Hokhmah.
So if you come with preconceived thoughts and notions you're going to have, what you're going to say, then I don't have the real Hokhmah.
No, never.
I'm sitting in
Never. Yeah. Here's the truth. Yeah. Most people, when they come to a shir, they're coming with preconceived notions. They're just waiting for you to tell them either something they know or something that fits into something they know. Which means I could never learn anything new. Right? That's why I told you the worst compliment I ever hear after a shir is, you remind me what I heard Shalashudas, the Vart. And I think to myself, if what I said, if what it said in Likkutei reminded you of the word that you heard at Shalosh Shudas, you weren't at the Shir. You heard things that fitted into what you heard Shalosh Shudas.
That's how you never complete someone else's
sentence.
Is a bas called an union of Chokhmah?
Completing somebody else's sentence means there's absolutely no Hokhmah. It's like, oh yeah, I already know your Mahalach, right? So now, there's a reason why people come to Shurim this way. Because most Shurim, there's nothing new. And what do you want from them? I can't come and always have Hokhmah when I'm hearing something I heard or something that fits into me. The challenge is when sometimes there's a material that you're learning that's really new, and a person who comes with Binah, not with Hokhmah, will never hear it. When you learn Chassidus, when you learn the Alter Rebbe's Chassidus, you have to come with Hokhmah, much more than Binah. Complete openness. Complete openness. Not just intellectually, also emotionally. Complete openness. But it's hard for a person. We always want to fit it in. I saw it there and I heard it there and it fits in with this, which is all nice, but you weren't typhus. Yeah, which is a confirmation, is maybe works in the world of Binah. I don't even know if it's Binah. But Hokhmah, certainly not. The Lepsicha, Tchias HaMesim, Cook, a younger man, has Tchias HaMesim. 40 years he was looking for this. 45 years, yeah? Wie alt bist du? 38? Okay. Die Dieden haben sich gedreht in der Midbar, von Lamed Ches Shana, weißt du? Lamed Ches Shana. Tchias HaMesim auf dein Pone. Siehst du? Gib a Cook. Resurrection of the dead. Lepsicha, B'divrei Elokim Chaim. And pa manipulatie, verstehst? Nicht da kein Manipulatie, no manipulation. No manipulation. It's MS.
Basco. Is that an union of Chokhmah?
It's only a few percent that the person.
Basco.
No.
Is it an union of Chokhmah?
Oh, a Basco.
It says every day Hashem says to him to the truth.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I have to look. I don't know.
It's in this whole, it's in that Likkutei, a lot of truths that.
Avada. Listen. Avada.
You can't come in with Hokhmah to a Shia, it's not real.
Exactly. Oh, I couldn't say that, but thank you. That's true. You cannot. People have closed down their Hokhmah because they don't trust.
So actually,
you understand? If you can't trust the Rebbe, if you can't trust the master, if you can't trust the teacher, you'll always come in with a bulletproof vest, and for good reason. For good reason. I don't need to get shot again. I've been stabbed already 29 times. I don't need another one. So I'll sit like this. Okay. I'll listen 5 minutes. I'll text most of the time. Right? If it's a nice word I could say over, good. Anish next. But that's the truth. And the truth is, the whole inyan of Hokhmah can only happen when it's somebody you trust. Or something you trust. It's only with truth. Because imagine you tell me, lose your eye. I should lose my eye for whom? For whom? For a system that's going to manipulate me. You know, Animal Farm. Animal Farm was basically George Orwell's explanation of the communist regime. Everybody is equal. But some are more equal than others. Verstehst? So you want me to be mevatel everything. For whom? For somebody who will take that and use it for their power. I'm done. So unless the source is complete truth, a person will never even get close to this. So you have to be able to, but when you see that complete truth, and you run away from it, and you still wear your bulletproof vest, as achonachvei. Oh, that question, I answer all questions besides that one. Besides that one. People always ask that, sometimes ask that, how do you know it's complete truth? And I say, when it is, and you're open to it, you'll know it.
There's a lot of truths.
If I tell you, it's not going to be that, verstehst?
That's for sure. There's still a lot of truths.
It might be the opposite. Because you've heard these. You differentiate. If you're open to it and you ask the Rebbeinu Shalom to help you see truth, and you see it, and you're open to it, you'll know what it is.
The ning is really not different by anybody.
But you have to be open, without shoichet. And you know what the biggest shoichet is? Yourself, your background, your youth, a lot of things, different stuff in my mind. Remember, preconceived notions, including, and here's deep, the greatest shoichet is the ilah. The ilah. I want to find myself. I want to be comfortable. If the need to be comfortable is part of the equation, then you're not dealing with truth. I have to be ready to give up everything, including everything I learned. When people see this, either they run, because it's very frightening, or they're mevatel themselves completely, and then they celebrate life. Or, and this is the tragedy, they'll fight it. The Hokhmah will become their worst enemy, because they know it's true, and then they'll just, then they just went into Gehenna. Verstehst? What's Gehenna? Gehenna is fighting this. This is Gehenna. You don't have a bigger Gehenna than this. All the fires of Gehenna don't come close to fighting this. That's the greatest Gehenna. You can't give yourself a bigger Gehenna. When you say this person is in Gehenna, what does it mean? It means a person is fighting this. He's in Gehenna. He can't get a bigger Gehenna.
Is there balance?
Why should you be frightened? Because it's a bittul yesh. Everything I held on to. Everything I built up, my whole career, my whole Mesilas is you want to now throw into the garbage. Mit ein Wort, sagt er, no hana. Really? A ganze Leben suche ich hana. A ganze Leben suche ich hana. The whole life. I'm not talking about physical hana, rip steak. Mela, that I can give up. Maybe not. But, was sagst du, man kennt das? No, not that. But the spiritual hana, macht up. A spiritual hana.
It doesn't stop there.
How does Mesilas Yesharim begin? Mesilas Yesharim is considered one of the most classic svarim in Musar, Machshava, Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Latzana. How does Mesilas Yesharim begin? Reb Nachum, can Stefan in a Mesilas Yesharim? Thank you. Please. No, I mean on the Google. We said that Google knows everything.
I'm not going to teach anything new. I'm going to just reopen things.
I'm going to read to you the first line of Mesilas Yesharim, so you'll be able to appreciate why it's frightening. You understand why it's frightening? So if I can't trust the source, I'm right for running away. Good choice. You're not mevatel your yesh for somebody who's a bigger yesh. You got to be stupid.
It'd be beautiful if you grew up with it, so then it's different.
No, we have to go through the way.
But Hashem, Perek Aleph, the first thing. Let me just read it. I just want you'll just see it. It's as dakas de kenyanim. Rabbi Jacobson was a Adam Gadol Umayt. Yisoid hachsidus v'shoyrish ha'avodah hatmima. The yisoid of everything is she is barav yisamas el adam machay v'asay ba'olam. A person should understand what is his obligation in the world. What's his ambition in his all toil? Zaktir amchal v'hinei mashahirenu chachamenu is sha'adam loy nivra ela lis'aneg al Hashem v'lehanes meziv shchinasle. The purpose of everything is to have tainug from Hashem and enjoy the shchina shazeh tainug ha'amiti. Kommt again the Balatan, yeah? Und sagt, das ist Meichen de Ime. Meichen de Ime, Gilui, Hanno, Simcha, Dveikesness. Then is Meichen de Ef Shalom is boy. Ef Shalom is boy. That's how he opens up.
I'll take part one.
Wrong call saying the same thing.
You're in the wrong chair. Right. Sexually.
Oh, so I could run. Punkt verkehrt, mamish. Chies ha-mesa. It's very safe. It's a safe place.
Ning for everybody. It's not like a different ning. The truth is the ning.
The first madrega is a different niggin. The alul and the ill is a different niggin. Ah?
If you can't lose yourself, then it's frightening.
You're saying it's frightening if you can't lose yourself.
You can even hide the.
Do you need to go through the first?
If you lose yourself, then it's not frightening. You're saying, huh?
But people can build up blockages to even hide.
You can have a lot of blockages. Yeah, you hide your fright. Of course. I'm not going to say I'm frightened. Fear never says it's fear. Fear gives excuses. It's corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. Everything is corrupt. You understand? Or I'll just go into some form of denial. But it's very hard to deal with it. And then the worst is when I fight it, when I start fighting it. Because I know more. I know more than others. Sometimes, throughout history, there were certain individuals that you couldn't ignore their truth. So one of two things. Either you mavatal yourself, or you ran away, or you fought them. But you can't do anything else. It's too serious, it's too big to ignore. So either you mavatal yourself to the emes, or you push it, run away from it, you don't deal with it. So you could hold on to your yeshes and you're good. Or, if it really irks you because your yeshes is too big, you go on Milchama. You kill him. Kol ha-Metzorah li-Yisrael nasa rosh. By destroying Yisrael, you become a leader, you become a rosh. By Yidden, it's also that way, bedakas. And then everything is good. Your yeshes remains, and you become noch a chashav Yid, because you fought that which had to be fought. And you're in Gehenna. And your Talmidim are also in Gehenna. And you have to help them get out of Gehenna. Reb Shalom the Hez was tutzich.
Is the Torah Shebeksav Hokhmah and the Torah Shebeksav?
Yeah.
So
Torah Shebeksav is Hokhmah, Torah Shebeksav is Binah.
Means that if we're connected with Torah Shebeksav, and we got Hokhmah.
Aziz Sayyid. Aziz Sayyid, yeah.
If we're involved with Torah Shebeksav, then we got the Binah.
Yeah.
That's going to set us up for life.
Yeah. Aziz Sayyid.
Why?
Why? Because it's not one of those.
He doesn't have your cynicism. Lass him zu do. Es ist nicht gehadet, wo du sich gehadet. Lass him zu do. Gleibt ihm. Ist ein ehrlicher Yid. He didn't see everything you saw.
It seems like that. It seems like what I hear is that it's all Hokhmah coming through. It's all Torah coming through. It's Rebbe's, but it gets distorted by the Kalim a little bit sometimes, and it comes out.
Yeah. Sometimes gets distorted on top too.
On what?
Sometimes it gets distorted up there too. I don't mean up there. I mean. Okay. V'hamevin Yavin, yeah. Was sagst du?
Was gedei to be lost for 55 minutes.
When I see someone who's learning, learning Kola, learning all day, whatever, and they don't look so happy, something doesn't seem right,
What do you want to say?
I want to know if, according to the Alter Rebbe, you have to first go to the ha-saga of Mesilas Yesharim, and then grow to the second side.
That's a good question. It's debated in Chabad ad hayom hazeh. They have to go through stage 1 to get to stage 2.
If you want to be a teacher, you should do that. Otherwise, you could just jump ahead.
Start early talk.
It's a big question. I think it's very hard to go to stage 2 without stage 1.
For it to stay permanent.
Stage 2.
If you don't let somebody find themselves in Yiddishkeit, right? They're losing themselves in Yiddishkeit can ultimately haunt them.
Stage 2 can be actively.
You understand what I'm saying? It can be seen as very negative. Because they didn't...
Yeah, going out to teach stage 2. Lose yourself.
It's not right.
No anchor.
There's no anchor here. without understanding stage one, stage two could sound too much like, self-destruction. You know what I mean? And self-destruction.
Or something that people cannot relate to completely. Especially if
Right.
you're trying to teach you.
Build the foundation first, and then the.
No, because he has to have his own kerach in order to be able to give over, right? Which is
Some neshamas can start.
That's true. There are neshamas that are there, yeah. There are neshamas that are very sensitive to that.
Students come to the lecture ready to be surprised.
Beautiful.
So that's the
Beautiful.
element of surprise. You have to be surprised yourself that you thought that's how you thought before.
Beautiful. Ready to be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised.
That's in a way losing yourself because whatever you accumulated before, now it's about to be lost.
So that's stage one.
No, to shecht your aliyas and your shlemos. Even my shlemos, I'm ready to shecht. My need for shlemos, my yearning for shlemos. What's shlemos? Shlemos is perfection.
What's the Mizbeach Adoma?
The mizbeach itself has to be built from bittul. The Mesilas Nefesh also has to be with bittul. Sometimes I sacrifice, like I said before, I sacrifice myself.
Isn't that?
Because I'm the one who does the sacrifices in the family.
If you're doing the sacrifice, yes.
That's what he says. The mizbeach has to be adama, mit adama. Okay. Der Alter Rebbe sagt, dass der Yichud Nifl ist durch Torah. Lernen ein Stückel Gemara. Lass mal lernen Torah.
So there is sometimes a good translation. It says that I don't remember which translation it was, but it says that Yidden were wandering in the Midbar by 40 years. They were in a state of wonder. They were constantly surprised. They were
Nice. Very nice. They were constantly surprised. There's no question.
Huh?
There's no question. They were constantly surprised, right?
whatever they had, the ideas of Kodesh Baruch Hu, every time it was like it's like
beautiful.
never done before.
Beautiful, beautiful. Very, very special Maimer, huh?
Oh, they're all special.
Das ist MS. Das ist MS.
I'm a chap.
Did Rebbe, did Alter Rebbe learn with somebody? Did he had Achia Shavoni or Elia Novi coming? Did he have any?
This is higher than Eliyahu Navi. It's much deeper than Eliyahu Navi.
He's a good, a special teacher.
Yeah.
Thank you. Reb Nachum Yishakayach. We're ready for the transition from Nister to Nigla. The truth is, we're not transitioning. It's all one. That's the truth. It's Alzach. On the level of websites, it's two, but in MS, it's one. That's the truth. The technology doesn't yet have the kalim to be megala that Chassidus and Gemara is ein zach. So maybe we make a ha-saga, but it's really the same thing. Just for organized, for the ice, for the kalim, for the binah, for the binah. That's true. You need binah. Man muss haben binah. Seder. Seder. Person must have structure.
Pack it in.
Yeah. There are souls that are rooted in bittul and they don't have structure. And it doesn't work. The greatest truths have to come into Seder. You see it with artists, creative people. The worst thing they do to themselves is they don't stick to a Seder. All success comes from Seder. The greatest artists, musicians, writers, really brilliant revolutionizers, if they didn't live with a Seder, they woke up, they slept whenever they want. You know, they're up till 5 a.m. and then they sleep for 2 days and then they're up for a week. You know, those types of people. It's ultimately counterproductive. Consistency is the soil where creativity can grow.
Artists are consistent, not consistent.
Right, but consistency, permanence, stability, structure, which is brutal. Waking up at a certain time, going to sleep. It's not fun when you're an artist. When you're a yeka, when you're a structured person, it's great. You go to sleep the same second, you wake up the same second. But if you're a different type of kid, a different type of soul, it's very hard.
Was dit een jekke, artist een jekke?
No.
That's perfect. That's a perfect artist.
She makes lenses.
how many Yakish artists, you know?
They say what happens when a Lubavitcher marries a Yeke? You have a Mashiach who comes on time. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think we need more shidduchim like that.
What's the feeling after I see this class? Sometimes I feel like raw.
Raw.
Not
Raw.
raw meaning like it's like the skin is not there. It's sensitive. It's like very raw.
Because you have to give up all your preconceived notions and rethink everything. And that's painful.
And beautiful.
It's not pain. It's a joyous.
It's a joy, yeah, raw. You could shed layers. You say after Chiddush you feel raw because you could shed your layers. The Olul can shed all the layers. There's also a good energy in the room. When Yidden learn Chassidus, there's a healthy energy in the room. You don't feel ego, you don't feel anger, right? You don't feel the regular competitiveness. You don't feel it trying to outsmart the other person. There's a divine energy, so you could feel more safe. You have people who can hug you. I mean, if you allow, I don't mean... Huh?
He gave me a hug.
It's all the same.
But isn't all learning a safe harbor in that sense?
Yeah. But you know, sometimes there's learning where the energy is just, I think, more palpable. No.
You know, Thomas, the Torah Lishma between...
Right. Okay, Tayir Yidden. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing yourself to be raw. Not so simple.
This class is brought to you by the yeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.